latest ITV news in the Tyne region with Amy Lee and Ian Payne.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to ITV News Tyne Tees. Tonight's headlines.
Miners get their money and the two-child benefit cap is scrapped. We'll explain what today's budget means for you.
Also tonight, RAF Hero Hunt searches for a Northumberland man who helped to save lives in the Piper Alpha disaster continue.
Travel sickness. Newcastle United's woes on the road seep into their European form as they are beaten in Marseille.
And causing family fallout since 1935. We'll celebrate 90 years of Monopoly. First tonight, though, to the budget and how much or how little money we might have in our pockets over the next couple of years.
Yes, the Chancellor has been setting out her spending plans. Here are some of the headlines. The thresholds for rates of income tax and national insurance contributions will continue to be frozen until 2031. As they won't be rising with inflation, the government gets more money, as some taxpayers will be dragged into higher tax brackets and others will pay a larger proportion of their wages in tax.
The two-child benefit cap will be lifted next year, which means people on benefits will be able to claim support for all their children, not just a maximum of two, which is the current situation.
There'll be council tax surcharges on properties worth more than £2 million, the so-called mansion tax.
Plus, there'll be increases to online gambling taxes, while there'll be no changes to in-person gambling taxes. And there will be a new mileage-based charge on electric and plug-in hybrid cars from April 2028, aimed at raising £1.4 billion.
So those are the bullet points. Let's pick through some of the details and get some reaction. Our correspondent Greg Eastdale has been out in the region today.
After months of will she, won't she, today was meant to be the Chancellor's big reveal on how she'd ease the cost of living crisis and cover a £20 billion hole in the country's accounts. But by the time she got to the Commons, pretty much all of it had already been leaked, including confirmation the controversial two-child benefit cap would be scrapped.
I can announce today, fully costed and fully funded, the removal of the two-child limit in full from April.
260 miles away, meanwhile, in Redcar, reaction to the Chancellor's big vision, more muted.
Well, the food crisis is shocking, and I feel sorry for all these pensioners. They can't afford to keep the heating on.
If you haven't got the money, you can't spend it.
The people behind this cafe, though, run by a charity offering food and baby banks in the area, insist that child benefit change will ease the hardships of larger families.
You see parents not eating and they're not using gas, electricity, they're not using heating because they've used up all their money for the children, they're putting their children first.
Two tables over, Sue and her sister-in-law Joan were pleased about child benefits, but told me more should have been done for people at the other end of the age spectrum.
We think they should do something for the parents. Yeah, the amount it costs. It can cost £2,000 a month.
Many of the North East ex-miners will see a boost in their retirements, though, with the Chancellor giving way to calls to release reserves from the British Coal Staff superannuation scheme.
And we're over the moon. We are delighted that we get no investment reserve because it's ours. We've paid into it. The pension fund has performed very well, and this money that's in there was due to go to the government in 2033. So most of us will be dead by then. The average age of the people in our group are about 77-year-old.
Elsewhere, at Newcastle railway station this afternoon, this reaction to details: rail ticket prices will be frozen for the first time in 30 years.
Yes, it's better for people that are travelling to work and back every day, sort of, if they're frozen, and for doing journeys with families.
They could come down a bit, but
they're not as bad as they used to be, so it's good. Well, it encourages people to come more often, or even once a year, when they wouldn't have done it before.
Less good news, meanwhile, though, for drivers nearby charging up their electric cars with EVs now facing a 3p per mile tax from 2028.
When I decided to get an electric car, I did it on the basis that I understood financially where that would leave me and how much travel would cost. And obviously that change has meant that everybody needs to reevaluate whether that was the right decision or not.
And confirmation of a new tourism tax, which elected mayors can opt to levy on overnight stays to help pay for things like special events or public transport, not going down well with everyone in York's visitor industry.
Hoteliers in York are worried about the implementation of the tourism levy tax because adding a £1 or £2 to the face value suggests that it's not a lot. However, it adds up to the guest bill. The secondary spending in our hotels has seen a decline year on year for about £3 to £4. So that tells us that the consumers are very price conscious.
And the Chancellor's grand plan for Britain drawing this take this afternoon from the North East's elected mayor.
There's a lot in this budget I'm really pleased about. The Chancellor has lifted the two-child benefit cap, which affects nearly 50,000 children in our region. The changes to the miners' pension puts £100 a week into nearly 4,200 people in our region's pockets. We've seen a recommitment to the bus fare cap, so we can cap our bus fares at £2.50 for adults and just £1 for young people.
Many across the region tonight, though, heading home to do their own sums and to make up their own minds about whether this budget will do much to make northern lives better. Greg Easthill, ITV News.
We're going to get more reaction now and head to Westminster to join our political correspondent Tom Sheldrick. So Tom, how has Rachel Reeves' budget gone down there then?
Amy, that very much depends on who you ask. Given the government's wider struggles, one of the Chancellor's first priorities today was winning the support of many MPs on her own side. It seems she has been largely successful with that. But as you might expect, the reaction from opposition parties has been overwhelmingly negative.
Household income is down. Spending policies in this budget increase borrowing in every year. That smorgasbord of misery we just heard from her can be summed up in one sentence. Labour are hiking taxes to pay for welfare. This is a budget for Benefit Street, Madam Deputy Speaker, paid for by working people.
Who is going to pay all these increased taxes? Not just the frozen thresholds. They're bad enough. But all the other taxes, whether it's on taxes or whatever else it may be, basically working people are going to be subsidising a welfare bill that shows no sign of going down whatsoever.
I'm joined now by Anna Turley, who is the MP for Redcar and attends Cabinet as the chair of the Labour Party, and by Tom Gordon, who is the Liberal Democrat MP for Harrogate and Knaresborough. Anna Turley, the Chancellor said last year's budget was the big moment where she had to make significant tax rises, but she's done it again, hasn't she?
Well, the priority for this year, having had a year of stabilising the economy, was about making sure we address the cost of living. That is the number one issue that people raise with us on the doorstep across the North East. We know that people are finding it hard. So some great measures here today around freezing prescription charges, freezing rail fares, lifting the minimum wage, lifting children out of poverty. It's about making sure people have got more money in their pockets at the end of the month and getting more food on the table.
But they're going to see more of their earnings taxed away, aren't they?
No, that's not true. We've kept our manifesto pledge. We are not raising tax on working people. It's really a real priority for us. But at the same time, we refuse to go back to the era of austerity. We saw what 14 years of austerity did to the North East. Our public services on their knees. We're about rebuilding the NHS, putting more money back into local communities, and we're making sure that this is a fair budget where people pay their fair share.
Tom Gordon shaking your head.
Absolutely. We have heard the Chancellor has, broken that promise to not tax working people. If you're on a minimum wage, you're now going to be paying more back through the freeze in income tax. People are going to be dragged to even repay their student loans into paying more back as a result of this Chancellor's budget. And what frustrates me so much is it's about having a fairer taxation system, right? That's what the Liberal Democrats want. We wanted to see a tax on the big social media companies, the online giants, and the bank surcharge levy reinstated as well. So, this didn't have to be this way, but instead we've got a tax on milkshakes, a tax on EV paper mile, you name it, the Chancellor's taxing it.
Well, the Lib Dems always want to have their cake and eat it. They've welcomed some of our measures today, like the 2-child limit, but then not got real, genuine ways to pay for it. The important thing is that we've got a realistic, tested, costed package here today that people can be proud of.
Tom Gordon, on the 2-child benefit cap, you've welcomed it being lifted, but opinion polls suggest the majority of the public want it to stay in place. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, it's something that I've spoken about in Parliament. It's something the Liberal Democrats have long championed wanting to see it. We know it's one of the quickest and easiest levers to pull to try and alleviate childhood poverty. And it shouldn't be about opinion polling. It's about doing what's morally right. What really frustrates me, actually, is I wanted to see that scrapped once Labour got into government last year. The fact that they waited 18 months, you know, does make it a little bit harder for them trying to claim a moral high ground on that issue.
And Turley?
Nonsense. We had to stabilise the economy. We saw the chaos and the absolute rack and ruin that the Tories had left us. So it was really important we spent that first year stabilising the economy, and I'm delighted to see the 2-child cap lift. That's 3,000 children in Redcar who are now going to be lifted out of poverty, 20,000 children across Teesside. And it's not just about the moral imperative, but it's also about the fact that those children will have better outcomes. They'll do better in school. They'll do better in later life. This is about investing in children, and I don't think anyone in the country can argue with that.
Now, there wasn't much specifically announced for our region, £16 million for a science centre in Darlington, but are Labour trying to level up the country, perhaps quietly?
Well, we're doing it by lifting everyone through lifting the minimum wage, through making work pay, through supporting children, as I said, in poverty. We've had some great things today about apprenticeships and making sure that small businesses can have apprenticeships without having to pay for that privilege. We're reducing business rates on small and medium enterprises to restore our high streets. So there's great stuff to lift the economy, as well as alongside the big stuff we've been doing on Pride in Place, investing in local areas and lifting the whole region.
Thank you both. We are out of time. Now, some initial reaction there. Of course, many politicians and others will be poring over the small print in the coming days.
OK, Tom, at Westminster for us this evening, getting that reaction there. Thank you very much indeed.
More on the budget in the news at 6:30.
The Chancellor's new budget, will it make her or break her? Billions in tax rises, but the income tax threshold freeze remains and the 2-child benefit cap is scrapped. We'll take you through all the analysis and answer your questions. Plus, a former Marine pleads guilty to injuring 29 people when he drove into crowds at the Liverpool Victory Parade. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
On to some more of the day's news now. And searches have been continuing today in Northumberland for a missing RAF hero.
Mike Yarwood was a winchman aboard an RAF helicopter during the Piper Alpha oil rig disaster in the late 80s and was credited with helping to save several lives. Those efforts to find him have been centred on the town of Amble, and that's where we can join our Northumberland correspondent Tom Barton now. Tom.
Yes, Mike Yarwood is a man who is hugely well respected and much loved in the community here in Amble. He was awarded a medal for his work in search and rescue, but he now finds himself at the centre of a search operation. Dawn rose over Amble this morning for the 5th time since one of the town's most beloved heroes disappeared. 78-year-old Mike Yarwood was last seen on Friday night, captured on CCTV at 11:30, walking north out of the town. Searching ever since has been his granddaughter Ellie.
We're five days nearly in and there's still not a sign. I mean, people have said if he's been in the water, and I've thought about that myself, but at the end of the day, I haven't found a shoe, I haven't found a hat, I haven't found anything. He's genuinely just vanished. And I think that's the most concerning part, is that there's literally nothing. There's not a trace. There's nothing.
The last few days have been extremely hard.
My granddad, he brought me up with my grandma when I was very young, so it's hitting very close to home. I lost my grandma 4 years ago, and Mike's the only one that I've kind of got left, so I just need to get out there and find him.
Mike Yarwood was a winchman on RAF Sea King search and rescue helicopters, flying out of RAF Bulmer near Alnwick. He was awarded the Air Force Medal after saving 10 people from the capsized Alexander Keeland oil rig in 1980. And 8 years later, he was winched to rescue those affected by the Piper Alpha oil rig explosion. That's heroism motivating rescue teams who turned out to help in the search over the weekend.
Coast Guard was involved, they were out in full force. Both our boats were involved, the police were involved, so they were all communicating with each other for the searching of the river banks, both sides of the river, north and south, and also the ELB when we searched part of the coastline up inside Cooked Island.
Today, police divers joined in the search for Mike, combing the water around Amble Harbour. But this whole community has also come together to try to find their missing hero.
There's a lot of community getting together, going looking round when we've been out walking, asking people if they're aware of Mike, and just to have a look out for him and what he's wearing, etc. Amble's like that. In times of trouble, everybody goes together, and it's a great community, and everybody will be out helping and as much as we can.
Amble's come together. It's been a great help to the community. I've had messages, people going around and putting posters out, printing posters for us. They've been coming out and helping. People on dog walks have been helping. It's been really nice to see a community come together.
And for Ellie and the whole community, the search will continue for as long as there's hope that Mike could be found.
So to another evening, what's the latest on the searches?
Well, Ian, the search has finished for the day. It's simply too difficult for anyone to keep looking for him in the dark, wet weather we have right now. And sadly, I think there is a sense among Mike's family and the wider community that the chances of the outcome that everyone is hoping for may well be diminishing. But as Ellie said to me today, she needs to keep on searching so that she can find out what has happened to her beloved grandfather.
Tom Barton live for us in Amble this evening. Now, health bosses in County Durham say they are deeply sorry for failings in its breast cancer care after a report found that patients experienced avoidable harm, including missed cancers and unnecessary surgery.
An external review commissioned by County Durham and Darlington NHS Trust has just been published, and at a meeting today the Trust said it was trying to change the culture and to rebuild patient confidence.
Our reporter Katie Cole was at that meeting. Katie, this trust reacting to a damning report.
Yes, indeed, Ian. 232 pages of failure after failure, and it spans more than a decade. A governance expert called Mary Aubrey carried out this review, and she was asked to look at the service between 2012 right up until this year. She found that cancers were missed because of outdated diagnostic methods. Patients underwent procedures they didn't need, and failures in decision-making led to delayed treatments and preventable complications. It also found there was a culture of fear and mistrust among staff. Warnings were ignored and problems were allowed to persist for years. A board meeting took place in Durham today, which was open to the public, and the Trust, which has recently appointed a new leadership team, said it was deeply sorry to patients and their families.
You put trust in us, and in some cases that trust was not met. We didn't offer the safe, high quality care that you both needed and deserved, and we know the fear, worry and harm that has caused.
Well, this trust is carrying out reviews into the care of those who had surgery in 2023, 2024 and up to the middle of February this year. It says it's contacting patients as they complete these. It also says it has a team of senior nurses supporting patients who've been impacted by the failures. And if anyone has any concerns, they've set up a dedicated helpline, of which the details are on its website, and we have shared on our website tonight too. Now, since February, the Trust says it's taken action to develop a safe service, and care is now being provided in line with national guidance. Some of the changes it's made were discussed today, including appointing 2 new surgeons. It's investing in equipment and changing out how it carries assessments. It says it accepts all the failures in this damning report, and it says it's committed to making things better.
Katie, thank you very much indeed. Katie Cole there. And if you've been impacted by this story and would like to share your experience, you can get in touch with us by email, amyandian@itv.com.
And Simon joins us in the studio now. It's time for the sports. We had Champions League and Championship action last night, and none of it went really that well, Simon, unfortunately.
It had its moments, it didn't have good results. Newcastle lost 2-1 away at Marseille in the Champions League. That's not a disaster by any means. Losing games in the Champions League is an occupational hazard. It's the losing away from home that's threatening to become a problem. Now, whether it's domestic or European, the Magpies just aren't travelling well at the moment. They've lost 4 away games in a row. What makes that more annoying is they've taken the lead in the last 3 of those defeats. Newcastle were actually very good in the first half last night, and the in-form Harvey Barnes gave them the advantage. But not for the first time away from home recently. The second half was the complete on the way out of the stadium. So, all in all, not ideal on or off the pitch.
We set high standards for ourselves, and we want to win, and we want to compete against the very best. So big frustration and disappointment tonight, because we feel, not necessarily that we deserve more, because we ended up with what we deserved, but there was positive signs today. It was a totally different feeling to West Ham and Brentford. That's a very high level game. I thought we dealt well with the hostile atmosphere. I thought we dealt well with a lot of what the game threw at us, but we can still do better.
So where does this leave Newcastle, Simon, in terms of the Champions League, the wider picture, what happens next?
In terms of the Champions League, don't worry about it. They've got 3 games left in the league phase. If they win one of them, I'm pretty sure they'll get a playoff place, and I'm pretty sure that they will do that. In terms of the wider picture, they've lost a few away games. I don't want to call it a crisis, but if it keeps happening, it will get labelled a crisis. I think the tactics Eddie Howe chooses and the team he picks away at Everton in the Premier League on Saturday will be very interesting.
Let's turn to Middlesbrough. Their fans gave their head coach a warm welcome last night. Ultimately, the team came up short. Really good game against the leaders of the Championship.
Was a good game. Again, a bit like the Newcastle result, this was a disappointment, not a disaster, because the league table does not lie. Coventry City are head and shoulders above the rest. Old wet night at the Riverside, but a red-hot game after a warm welcome for the new boss.
You could tell tonight when he came out on the pitch that he looks like he's just going to love being at this club. He just had a really good feel about him, look about him.
He looked a little bit taken aback by the atmosphere and the reception that he got, and I think he can be the man that helps us get us to the Premier League. I mean, the last foreign manager that we had took us to the Premier League, so yeah, why not?
That last foreign manager was Aitor Karanka, who took Borough up 9 years ago. Kim Hellberg will try and emulate that. The Swede had a watching brief last night, and hopefully someone told him not everyone in the Championship is as good as Coventry City. The leaders were 2 up inside 15 minutes thanks to 2 really good goals. The encouraging part for Hellberg and the home fans was Borough fought back. Morgan Whittaker scored. An own goal drew Borough level, and Tommy Conway should have given them the lead, and he knew it. A costly miss, as it turned out. Coventry went on to reassert their authority in the game and on the league. Great entertainment, but not the result Borough's caretaker wanted.
I thought it was a high-quality Championship level game. I don't think Coventry disappointed. I thought we more than played our part in it.
We deserved a bit more out of it, but we missed a chance and they took theirs, and that was it at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I thought I'd give it a good go. And given actually attacked them, that's what I really enjoyed, and there were some good goals in it.
So now it's over to Kim Hellberg, who arrives in the middle of the season and needs to hit the ground running. That's an experience Coventry's boss knows well.
The more clarity you can give the players to exactly what you want from them as soon as possible is the best thing for me. So he'll do his thing, and his record, I think, is an impressive one from seeing that. So I don't need to tell him what to do, but that was my experience of it.
Coventry are 10 points clear and look unstoppable. The rest is up for grabs. Borough have dropped to 3rd. They go Swedish on Saturday. Derby at home will be Kim Hellberg's first game in charge.
Thank you, Simon. Now, it all centres on financial decisions and making as much money as possible. No, not football. And don't worry, we've had enough about today's budget. This is about a board game that many of us grew up with and still play today.
Yeah, this is such a classic. I was bad at it. It's known for bringing families together, but then tearing them apart again. Monopoly is often the cause of arguments, but it is also renowned for lasting a long time. So it's quite appropriate then that it's just marked its 90th anniversary, as Lauren Hall reports.
At this board game cafe in Whitley Bay in North Tyneside, their game for any game. And there's one that everyone knows how to play.
It was one of the first games I played as a kid, I suppose.
I think I start with the strategy that goes out the window in the first 2 or 3 minutes, but that's the great thing about the game, it's constantly changing.
What I remember is a little tiny, they were metal at the time, a little tiny dog and the iron, and it was a big fight who amongst the family who chose what.
This game started 90 years ago, and it was an American toy company who made the first move, buying the rights and putting it into production. Soon it was the turn of British toy company Waddington's. It took a chance and came up with the bright idea of creating a London version of the game. Then it was full steam ahead. The board game was soon monopolising the market and proving pretty profitable. This is the original American design, and it still looks very familiar. It's not changed that much over the years, but it has inspired many different versions of Monopoly, including quite a few based on towns and cities in the northeast. There's a Monopoly York, and of course, there's a Monopoly Newcastle and Gateshead. Over the years, it's got bigger and bigger.
Shall we go?
Absolutely. And as we head around the board, is it fair to say there have been quite a few players before us?
Yeah, Monopoly's been played by over 1 billion players in 114 countries around the world. It's really part of our culture now, and our language. I mean, how often do you hear people say, get out of jail free?
Well, we all need a get out of jail free card.
We sure do.
Parents certainly do, especially over the festive season. Many turn to board games to keep their families entertained, whether it's the old classics or some of the newer ones, like those seen at this industry event where they've been unveiling the top toys for Christmas.
It's one of the biggest categories in the industry. There's party games, there's preschool games, there's strategy games, there's role-play games. You know, even things like Pokemon is a trading card game. So the games might evolve into different markets, but there'll always be a place for a good game.
So it seems we'll never get bored of board games. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Yeah, and Pasco, collect 200 quid. Here's your weather.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. After a very cold night last night, temperatures in the northeast dipping to -4 and -5 in a few spots. Tonight will be a good deal less cold. However, we do have wet and windy weather moving in. Blustery conditions and damp for many of us through the day tomorrow. Settling down a little bit by the time we get to the weekend and temperatures returning to a seasonal average. So those frosts will be back by night. You can see low pressure out to the west and associated fronts moving in through the next 24 hours, bringing with it some blustery showery rain to our shores. And you can see those isobars fairly tightly packed together, indicative of strong winds, probably up in the Cheviots and the Pennines, the gustiest winds through the day tomorrow. Back to this evening. It's misty and murky, hill fog thickening up quite widely out there, but also in low-lying spots before dawn. And rain moves in from the west as we head through the night. 1 or 2 heavy bursts here and there. We are a good deal less chilly tonight, 3 or 4 degrees, and lifting as the cloud and rain moves in and those winds begin to pick up. On to tomorrow. The sun is up at 7:56 and sets at 3:48 tomorrow afternoon. For most of us here in the northeast, a bit of a dreary start to the day tomorrow. Hill fog around, pulses of rain, some of it heavy. There could be a good deal of water on the roads as that rain moves through on and off from the west through the course of the afternoon, accompanied all the while by some blustery winds. Temperatures are above average, but it's not going to feel particularly pleasant as we look towards Friday and beyond. Settling down and then turning a little bit chillier for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday should be generally dry.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees weather.
And Thank you, Joe. In just a moment then, the national and the international news.
And I'll be back with an update at 10 to 11 this evening from all of us. Thank you for your company. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.